Okay, let me I think I'm all ready here, man. I think I'm ready and ready to go, like ready to go. Okay, so I'm back, obviously. Obviously that part is true, that I'm here and I'm back, right? And what I wanted to talk about obviously was continuing my breakdown of the characters from The Boys, like the show, right? I didn't really get into the comic book, and I've read the comic book. I do like the comic book, right? So I'm up. I'm not. I'm aware of how the comic book story unfolded. I've gone through it, right, in its entirety. Like I literally have. The comic book story unfolded. And it's off the hook, man. Look, the comic book to me is a lot more off the hook than even the show was. Like the show, as crazy as the show was, I don't think it really touched the comic book, right? I think a lot of people would agree with that. But whatever, they're both great examples of creativity and writing. So A-Train, the show A-Train to me is a particularly compelling dude, man, for a lot of reasons, right? And I'm going to talk about some of the things that I feel like he got right. Obviously, some of the things I think that he got wrong. And some unique things about A-Train is like right off the bat, I'm like, who is this guy? That's what I always want to ask. Like, who is the person that we're talking about? And A-Train, like, he's a guy, he didn't come from like wealth or power or corporate privilege. This is Reggie Franklin, right? Reggie Franklin. You as regular as it gets, right? Reggie Franklin is an extremely common name. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Reggie Franklin is one of the most regular names you can get. And that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot about who he is. Like, again, dissect things beyond just the first level. Like, what I get from A-Train in that last name is you're probably Black American from right here, right? You're probably a foundational American, right? Because Franklin's presidential name, we know that as these people were being integrated into culture, right? Like the whole trade, the people who were here became property of. Okay. So this is where a lot of this comes from. So this is kind of as we kind of start dissecting who A-Train really was. Now, I've always had a problem with the name because I'm like, why would a dude named Reggie call himself A-Train, right? And I'm being really honest. Like, this is a very common kind of hood name. You know, it could be anything. R-Train doesn't sound good, okay? So you maybe don't go with it. But D-Train, like why A-Train to me, I've always been like, why'd you call yourself A-Train? That just wasn't a good flow. But anyway, that's where he went. So this guy comes to us from like, yeah, you're kind of like the hood adjacent. Like, you weren't really A-Train baby the way Ashley was trying to talk about, but you came from like hood adjacent, like the hood, right? But you're like in the hood. In the hood, a lot of times just regular ass people, right? That's one of the big misconceptions, that the hood is somehow like this different places. Mostly just regular ass people. And unfortunately, there are elements within the hood sometimes that take advantage of the situations that are the hood. They try to make it more Wild West. So this is like the background. So you're an athlete there, and you know, look, this is just like I could dunk. This is just like I got a hell of a jump shot, right? It's all that. This is your identity. So instantly when we see A-Train, like, he makes sense on a lot of levels because we get this kid. Like, it's the competition. Like, look, the cars, the clothes, the money, and the hoes. Like, that's A-Train. We get you so well right off the bat. Like, and this is an interesting thing because how I typically like to talk about these characters is to talk about like the totality of the arc, like who they were at the beginning and who they were at the end, right? And it's difficult, like as I'm sitting here giving this background on A-Train, this isn't where we get introduced to A-Train. This isn't my first insights into A-Train. This is where kind of like pulling back and kind of taking a look at, okay, this is what I see about this person now that I have a broader view of the entire story. This is actually what his story is. This is who he is. He starts off, if I can find it here. Let me see if I can find it. He starts off, I get introduced to A-Train like this. This is how I get introduced to the A-Train, right? It's like this. I'm not instantly thinking about, like, he had probably the most significant intro into the show to me, right? Like, I think he had one of the most, because he set the tone for me and for you and for everybody else, because you're like, damn, what did I just see? So that's how important and pivotal A-Train is, and this is how important this particular scene is, because he is a major catalyst for all this stuff. You know, maybe Huey doesn't join the boys. Maybe that little difference in the chemistry changes things out differently, because Huey would be very important in, obviously, aligning with Starlight. So adding a lot of power and pulling off someone who could have potentially been an enemy to your side, right? That made an easier bridge for fighting back. She was able to pull in a much larger group, right? They were the Starlighters. So this, as we branch it out, right? We multiverse this bitch. This part is crucial to like how the story ultimately played out. It's going to be him. If he doesn't kill Robin in that moment, maybe this is Huey stays out of it. Maybe because Huey's out of it, they never make that connection to Starlight. And maybe a lot of the operational things that they do, like getting them out of jail, like when they got out of jail, a lot of that was Starlight. Remember, like Marie and those guys were all rallied because of Starlight. So we have to reverse engineer this to like, this was a very crucial moment in the story. And this is how we get introduced into who A-Train is. However, as I go back, right, if I remove this, right, let's rewind it. If I remove this, then I talk about A-Train, he becomes a different person. And he's a far more relatable person than when I just start off with like, you bloody because you killing people, right? Like, we get that. Like, you know, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. This is what A-Train's getting right here. So if we get who A-Train is, like, all this stuff is like, yeah, this is your identity, and you just turned that into a celebrity. You're just a kid from the hood who's faster than everybody. We know this story. Like, we've seen this story. So your value was always tied to your performance. Ain't nobody talking about Usain Bolt anymore, right? All of a sudden, nobody's talking about Usain Bolt anymore, right? So this is kind of like, and so he understands, like, he's peak athlete. So peak athletes, man, they got it, but like peak athletes, they don't have it like musicians, where like maybe you get like a 30 year run, maybe you have resurgence. Like when you're athlete, kind of when it's done if that's all you have. So A-Train is hypersensitive onto this, and this is why he easily feeds into the whole culture of like Compound V and drug addiction, right? Like it's easy for him to get in there because he's got all this pressure. Now, why he becomes a part of the Seven, that's another story. Whereas like with, Starlight, obviously her mom had been prepping her for this. She had these aspirations of being a hero. I think even the same thing could be said for Maeve, right? The way she gives us her intro. This dude just wanted like everything that went along with it. I want to be a celebrity. I'm down with it. And he's charismatic dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's kind of a cool dude. He's got that appeal. A-Train knew how to work it, man. On everything, man. You selling energy drinks, you selling shoes, whatever. So A-Train was like, I think more geared to like the sponsorships and all that than anybody else as far as making the public appearances. Because like Homelander was a nutty buddy just walking around. So he really couldn't even like embrace crowds. You could see him kind of freak out. Maeve was so like, I hate everybody. He just took it, man. And he was still like presentable, even though he's terrible. So this is kind of what his whole existence is shaped by this competition. Every single race I get in matters. Every challenger, hey, we're gonna have to handle. Even any young speedsters, yeah, watch out, you ain't ever gonna beat this. He wasn't obsessed with being great. He never was seeking his own greatness. He was just like, I want to get replaced down in my job. And for some reason, we believe maybe that's what makes him like, that's his biggest weakness. Inside of Vaught's culture, irrelevance is like, that's death. That's for all of them, right? So, even with his powers, like, are you guys immortal? Anyway, he was focused on that window. And it was true. Like, your power is, out of everybody's, the most replicatable, right? Like, you got these kind of powers. Your power is, getting super speed. That's it, right? It's going to be a lot of guys with that. So you trying to stay on top, man. And we get that because we see that in, like, professional sports guys all the time. Like, that short window. So his factors were this fear. Like, he's driven by this fear. you're getting older, right? You losing speed, you losing relevance, you trying to rebrand, like, and your rebrand was terrible, homie. Like, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like, I'm still pro A-Train. Now, that's the interesting conversation, is that when I met you, like, this is how I met you, A-Train. This is how you came down the pipe on me, man. This is how you came down the pipe on me, but I was patient enough to, like, try to work with you. And I'm highly conscious of, this is how I started off with A-Train, man. This was more like, hey, what's up, man? This is the first impression, but somehow throughout the story, and you did a lot of terrible things, man. Like, you did a lot of terrible, unforgivable things. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I carry, like, I'm still very upset with you, man. We're gonna talk about this a couple of times too. Like, this whole, like, you killing Pop Claw thing, man, is just completely unacceptable to me, man. She did nothing to you, right? Like, she was just, like, trying to be down, right? And just going for it. And you gotta kill her. Like, I get it, man. She breached, all right? She was a breach. She was a weak point. I get it, man. Alpha Foxtrot Tango, right? You had to call in the strike on her. I get that, man. But damn, homie, like, come on, man. Like, and this, like, you kind of double set us up on A-Train to really make sure that you don't like this dude, right? Like, that's what it is. And somehow at the end of it, when you died, I was like, yeah, all right, A-Train. That was a cool death. Somehow we still got there. And we're going to discuss the mechanisms of how that story, you know, ultimately got me to that place, right? I was like messing with A-Train again, right? Even though I kind of never stopped, right? So we get him because, like, before he was just this ambitious guy. You have some talent, you're trying to maximize it, you're insecure about it, you're willing to do with drugs, whatever. You got to do what you got to do. He was never, you know, you didn't start off a villain. You know what? Let me rewind all that. You did not start off as a villain. You didn't go into this with villainy in your heart. You went into this with, I'm about to get this bag in your heart. The fame, the money, the hoes, the fame. That's where you were at with A-Train. And they showed a little bit of that side. They showed A-Train, like, kicking in the hood. And you shining. Like, you shining in the hood, man. Like, we love you, A-Train. And we do. We give mad respect to A-Train. That's why there's going to be some other parts of him that, you know, we got to explore. Like, we got to really explore getting, like, it's complex for A-Train. Because if everything is just cool, yeah, we love you, A-Train. You got a place, dude. Don't worry about it, right? So A-Train, but he exists, and he's telling a different story than, like, Homelander is when power is just unchecked. Starlight is more idealism. Butcher is like vengeance, right? Clearly. Ashley is like corporate survival. A-Train, like, you're almost like regular dude. We get you, right? We get you. We see you. You know what I'm saying? We still want your autographs at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what's up? Like when I saw Eric Dickerson at the airport, right? Like, it's cool. I don't care. But it's cool. I saw Eric Dickerson that's the guy who used to run, right? And all that stuff. So he's more relatable to us, right? As far as who A-Train is, we get that. We get, yeah, if it's compound V, if it's something out there that's going to make you stronger, faster, you're going to take it, right? So this is kind of what he gives us. So, like, A-Train is, like you said, yeah, A-Train actually saved somebody. And that, you know what? Okay, now you hit on another point. You actually hit on another point. Like, A-Train had that moment where he saved a person's life. And so A-Train genuinely understood what it felt like to be a hero in that moment, right? In that moment. Like, remember the dude, I think dude was like, homie was like, oh yeah, it was my man, it was mother's milk, right? It was mother's milk. He's having a heart attack, he's in arrest. A-Train rushes him to the hospital, to the emergency, right? And a little boy sees him as a hero, and he's looking at him like, oh man, you saved this dude's life. So A-Train genuinely 100% got to experience what it was like to just be a hero. And so we kind of get that conflict, because if we look at your past, like who you weren't a bad guy before all this. You were not. You came from a regular ass household, like good people. You came from a regular black family. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they talk about whether moms or pops or that situation, but clearly you had a big brother who seems like a very righteous guy himself. Not no drug dealer, not a, not a bad dude, like just absolutely a good dude, regular dude. You see him, at the store, like, hey, what's up? What, you know this guy, right? So that's who A-Train actually comes from. So the corruption of A-Train comes from within the set. Like one, the attack is within the house. So that's an important part, and to remember that yes, he actually was a hero at one point. He did the right thing. Like, we understand why you do the wrong things, but maybe part of you is doing the right thing. So, and you get caught up in celebrity, you get caught up in drug abuse. Like, think about it, man. Like, I don't know if you guys, again, let me flash I'm X, right? You guys need to talk about land bias. Like, athletes and drugs in our culture was really popping off in the 80s. Like, we don't really hear about it. Like, athletes now, like LeBron and these guys, Kobe and these guys, they take care of their bodies at a whole different level, right? But back in the 80s, our athletes used to do a lot of drugs. A lot of them. We lost a lot of good athletes. Like, I'm going to talk to you guys about Len Bias. Man, this guy was supposed to save the Celtics dynasty. He was a Michael Jordan level anticipation, right? And again, so it ties in some key things in this storytelling, and that's who A-Train is. And A-Train has the most realistic arc of redemption, like at the end. And again, like I said, A-Train, this is how I got introduced to you, homie. I got introduced to you like this, but somehow at the end of this story, when you die, I still felt like, so yeah, go out like that, big dog. I still felt that for you, and I think a lot of us felt that. And how do you get from here to at the end of it, like your death was still kind of you're still kind of a righteous guy, right? So that's what we working with A-Train. Because it's complex. It's complex, man. It's extremely complex how we get all the way here with A-Train, but we get there, right? So and part of it is we see him wrestling with himself. We see, like, in the subtle moments, like, he's like, when Homelander tells him to do something, he's like, I'm going to do it. But he's always like, like, I don't want, we know he doesn't, right? Whereas the Deep is like, well, yeah, okay, I'll kill these guys. Remember how Norge took, when he had him kill those guys with the bat? Like, he kind of did, he did it. And again, this is, I'm slicing hairs here, I get it, but we can kind of see. And here's the thing. Here's where A-Train gets to be particularly useful. He's kind of connected to everybody, which is typical storytelling for a speedster. Like in other storytelling, speedsters often have the most connections. They tend to know more things. So this is a little mythic part right here. This is where the character represents some mythic things. So this is kind of what he is, right? Like, let's look at him, okay? So he's in the 7. So he represents the 7, access to all that knowledge, which is access politically, which is access like corporate world, like access. He knows directors, he knows actors, you know the celebrity world. You know Vought, like you're an insider at Vought. You've been down here for a little while. So you're an insider at Vought. You know the black community because you come from the black community. Like your brother lives in the black community. No matter how much you keep selling out, you're still part of the black community. So you're still kind of in that. So this is A-Train's vision of the world, right? You know Blue Hawk. You know this character because you've been around these guys. You know who Blue Hawk is. So when Blue Hawk's doing what he's doing, you're able to be like, yeah, this is all bullshit because you actually know what it is. So you have that perspective, like the hero's perspective, and even like the grind, like even like the, I gotta sell something about myself. So you get that out of Blue Hawk. That's why you're like, hey, look, man, yeah, it's all good, but you gotta stop doing this. You're dealing with my direct people a little too much, and they're putting pressure on me. It's gonna mess up my deals that I got out of some shoes and things like that. And then like there's also your relationship with Annie. Okay. He has this is something I wanted to talk about, and this may derail the conversation, but A-Train, I wanted to individually talk about his relationships because each one of these relationships matter, but nothing matters more than this very weird Robin, Huey, Starlight relationship. Okay, let me rephrase that. Robin, Huey, Starlight, Robin relationship, right? Because him being intimately connected to Robin and then forging this very intimate relationship with Huey and then having separately of that this kind of intimate relationship with Starlight really ties him to all levels of the story. That's unique, and that his connection to Huey, and then even going into Huey's personal life, and connecting with Huey's dad, like, you were really off the hook, right? You're totally and completely off the hook. So that's the thing. Al, welcome. So that's the thing. Like, he's intricately connected with Evelyn. He has a deep relationship with Homelander, and we see that. He has a relationship with Ashley, and we see that. So he's kind of the connector. I'm doing good. Just enjoying breaking down my man A-Train, right? My favorite. And hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for checking in. So when we look at A-Train specifically, he's so connected. You have a whole separate relationship with the Deep, and what that means, right? So, like, you're connected to everybody's storyline in a lot of ways. So your fame, but you don't get freedom, right? The fame not leading to the freedom also traps you into the whole, like, Pop Claw, right? Which is one of your biggest travesties, like, that you literally killed, like, one of your most adored, and it was raw how he did her. It's real. Like, we got to look at these moments, man. If we're going to talk about A-Train, we got to look at these ugly moments here. We have to embrace the ugliness of what A-Train has done here to Pop Claw. This is ridiculous, okay? So, this is him, like, we get to see a lot of your at your worst right at the bat. A-Train wouldn't be worse than this. I don't think he did anything worse than this. Let me think. Robin, and then, so 2 deaths right off the bat. And then I think you kind of lined up. I don't know. Maybe that's why. And then you get, I save a person. I save mother's milk, right? So maybe that's how he was able to get his redemption going, right? And we even see him fight back. So all of his relationships, like, those are actually key to, like, who he is. And this is kind of the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing is, like, the only way that I stay special and relevant is I got to be winning these races. And you saw when he hadn't won a race in a while, like, Homelander immediately went after him about it. So this is kind of who he is, right? And he's like, think about it, man. This bro gotta face a lot of stuff, man. Not only got to deal with regular soup stuff, I got to deal with a drug addiction. I got to deal with my side chick over here who's trying to get some shine on TV. I got to deal with racism, my brother on my back. You guys want to tell a movie? I can't even get a good movie, man. I can't even get a good movie. Like, my movie is like A-Train, baby, right? That's my movie, right? A complete farcical lie, even though my movie could be good anyway. And then the whole, like, man, so I can really, like, I'm going to tell you guys too, like, the whole A-Train rebranding thing was very revealing about somebody really lost, right? That's someone really lost where you're trying to connect this entire continent. I'm not even going to get into that because I'm like, look, A-Train, look, whatever. Find yourself in your community. And that's ultimately where he started to get his redemption, was kind of being back into the community. So this is kind of where we get to focus. But I'm telling you, like, him being connected to everybody, man, like Huey, Starlight, like, Homelander, you're one of the bridges for kind of all the character flow that goes through, like you and Ashley. And him and Ashley had, like, a real moment too. Like, that's the other thing. Like, his relationship with Homelander is well documented, right? What are you gonna do? This is my relationship with Homelander. I can't do anything about it. I'm just trying to deal with whatever BS he has us do and just keep my head down. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just corporate man. So his relationship with Homelander, like, even at the end, the fact that he was like, I don't even see what I was afraid of, man. Like, I don't even see what I was afraid of in dealing with you. Like, you're still a bitch. You're still this. And it was very truthful. And at least you can go out like a man. Like, the inevitability of him killing you, if you're around this guy, he's going to kill you, right? And just kind of accepting that. So I gave it a win. Like, if I had to judge him as a character, I'm going to kind of get him ahead of myself. If I had to judge him as a character, did A-Train win from where you started at to the end? I say to some degree, yes, you won. You went out on better terms. You probably didn't make up for what you did, and you couldn't. And I don't even know you're really trying. You tried. You made some attempts, right? You did some things, right? You did, right? You were childish and you were a drug addict, And it's a long way, man. Drugs are, look, cocaine's a hell of a drug, and I'm sure Compound V is too. And being on drugs like that, you know, he was an active drug addict. So we kind of have to even look at like, what is the redemption arc? Because look, I don't know about you guys, but I know enough people to feel average in terms of like, I know some people who have drug issues in their lives, right? I know some people, I've watched some people not get off of drugs their entire lives. I've seen that. So if we look at him as like, yeah, you were like, of course it's a self-made addiction, but like, you know, steroids, you know, which to me kind of, you know, what's symbolic of, it is. Those guys still suffer from the use of drugs too. Like they're drug addicts too. So we can see him like, you know, maturing on some, at least having enough to feel bad. At least having enough to feel bad. And I think one of the big connectors was, again, of course, the incident with Blue Hawk, where, yeah, you drag this, like him dragging Blue Hawk, that had to happen, right? Like the dragging, like literally, and I don't mean that just that he killed him, that you had to drag him. It was very important that you drug him around. I want to thank you so much, right? As a delegate of the community, I want to thank you so much for literally dragging this man, right? It used to reflect what we all wanted to happen. Like we couldn't articulate it, like either a dragging or a stomping would have been most appropriate. And I feel like you proved that a dragging was even more appropriate. A dragging was the best thing to do. So thank you so much. And maybe that's the kind of the cultural thing where you're like, okay, at least you're standing up for, you know, the hood, right? You're standing up for something. So in that regard, I can give you a lot. I get like, this is kind of how the path to like how he gets redeemed for me, right? Like I guess, and I have to reconcile myself with what I'm saying. But he was a beast of a character. He was a manipulator. He was like pure survival intelligence. Like he made it through. He just kept making it through. You know, you were always kind of underrated. Like it is in this world, it's like his speed isn't like the Flash where you got cosmic ability, right? So you're kind of limited in this world of like these true powerhouses. But you know how to be cool. You know how to apologize. You know how to cooperate. You know how to keep your mouth shut. You know how to just like, yeah, okay. I'm not really giving you a reason to be mad at me. Like that's what it is. And like he leveraged, I have access. He did what he had to do. And we saw him kind of negotiate. Like, and I'm telling you, like his relationship with Starlight, these two kind of, they came around. Like these two really like were at each other on a sub level, like, and you know, props to Starlight and how she handled her relationship with A-Train. Like, props to her for standing her ground at every single turn. I got it back with Annie January, man. Like, outside of that first famous incident where you know, felt like you had to do what you had to do, and I don't judge you for that, she stood 10 toes down, man. Like, she did. And going up against A-Train, you know, with his speed, he's a very dangerous dude. He can kill you very quickly. She stood toes down, man. She did not back off like she did. So I have to really give her props. So this relationship was really like a big part of his maturation. Someone standing in his face and kind of forcing him to kind of reveal who you are. So I kind of get A-Train. I kind of get what he's driven by. His fear of irrelevance. Your status, like you could easily be replaced. Like A-Train is actually an easy guy to kind of dissect and get into. You know, how I came back to being cool with A-Train, I can't really even explain it myself. I the best I can tell you, it was kind of through his individual like back and forth with his relationship, who he, you know, how he developed, and then at the end, like being completely like, yeah, you know, forget it. I'm completely anti to everything you're talking about. Really was kind of like what got me and A-Train all the way back. All right. So that's what got me. At least that's the excuse I give myself, right? On like who A-Train was. So he was a terrible person. He was all right, dude. He saved him. You saved Mother's Milk, man. Like, what you want me to do? We needed Mother's Milk because without Mother's Milk, and then at the end, like, who'd you save? He saved Huey, right? In like the second to last, right before he dies. Like, he dies because he saves Huey. Right? At the end of the day, you died because you saved Huey, who obviously we needed Huey to save everybody else. So hockey assists. Several hockey assists for A-Train. Like, we needed you more. We needed more out of you. And unfortunately, like, I think when he snitched on Starlight's friend, right? The singer guy, like obviously that was pretty despicable. Maybe that could have tipped the balance, but it probably wasn't going to tip the balance. You did what you had to do at every single turn. Like you dealt with, like you got to deal with racism on the job place, and they hired Stormfront's racist ass work down there. So you handled it all, man. You came out of it, and even though you didn't get to live, you know, you got to reconnect with your fam again. Those are the most important relationships. You change your character arc. I think, you know, you went from like these various stages to the end where it's like, okay, you know, he's an all right dude. You know, we can kind of resolve the things that you've been through, and mythically, like we get you, like we know your character, we understand your motivations probably as well as we do anybody else, and that's what we get with A-Train, man. We get a guy who's very complex. I remember how you came onto the screen and then how you went off, and I'm like, I gotta give it to you, man. You went out like a straight up G, man. I just gotta give it to you 100%. Like who you became in the end, A-Train, it was all right with me. So anyway, I'm gonna break some more characters down. I'm gonna wrap up on A-Train right now. Give me your thoughts on this in the comment section. So I'm gonna dip up off of TikTok. About to say adios to you guys. And yes, I want to end this, so I hit end. But thank you for confirming. And YouTube, I'll be back. So I'll be back. I got some new shorts coming up for you guys too. So thank you guys for stopping in, and I'll be back later today with a little more breakdown for you guys.